How you doing? This thing. Right there. I think we nailed it. All right. How you doing? Welcome, folks. And here we are. We're on the show. This thing is just as crooked as the elites. There you go. No? How about right there? Look on to it. Let my hair look on to you, bud. I hope everyone's having a great one. Sometimes you're not, and if you're not, it's because of pain. Sometimes you got somebody yelling at you. Sometimes maybe you are sad because you miss somebody you love. You know, there's all kinds of reasons people are kind of grouchy, eh? So, welcome. Last time I checked, hugs are free. You can give a hug out for free. Now, if you're trying to social distance, then hugging is. But you're gonna have to be around people, okay? So, if you gotta be around people, make sure you're around educated people that understand what social distancing actually means. For those who are at high risk, you make sure you practice properly. If you go to casinos, if you go to, or bad, poor social distancers, also who don't wash their hands, old people. I'm not kidding. I do not see old people washing their hands maybe but once in 6 hours. And old people cough, they're rubbing the remote, they're touching everything that's on the table that you may touch. So, and not to mention it's highly contagious, so like it's in the air, right? I don't see old people covering their mouths. It's a lot. Like I'm shocked at the people I've seen that I was like, oh, for sure this person's gonna cover their mouth. No. So these are the things we gotta watch for in the future. I'm not here to talk about testing or people or numbers that are numbers. I just want to say that if we're gonna, there have been worse things that have happened to our ancestors in the past, right? Famines were real. Now it's hard to have a famine, right? Like people, if somebody from 65, 75 years ago who was our age came to this time, they would see like pantries full of food, fridges full of vegetables, right? So, and it's like, oh, this doesn't spoil in 3 days? No, I freeze that. It's good for 6 months, bro. It's like, oh, like times have changed so much. It's up to us to recognize the ways that we can't be killed off like before and recognize the new ways, right? A silent or an invisible thing. Skip these weird flashy words. Preventable measures is what I talk about. So I don't want people to be alarmed, and I do want you to man up. I do want you to care for the sick, even if you have a little bit of something. You do everything, because there'll come a time when they can care for you when your back is out or you are, not feeling well for a couple days, and they'll care for you. And not only that, if you're able to, you better get it done. So I think it's important to mention how the world is really in the clutches of people who spout information that's totally incorrect. Eh? Millions. I can't even believe how many followers people have on these platforms. 185 million. There are like Selena Gomez has 185 million. I wasn't gonna say her name. I don't. Selena Gomez is a young. I don't even know if maybe she's my age. I don't know. I think she's very young. The point is that that person is very young and has very little of anything that is going to influence the older generation in the time of need right now for informational messages. So listen, if you use these platforms, I recommend that you only use these platforms as a joke to blow off steam and to have a decent time. With the ones when you're sitting there staring at a Kardashian with 400 million followers and she's trying on 16 pairs of things, but then one day she says something, she posts numbers about all this thing that's going on in 2020. Why? Who gave you, this information? Like, where are you getting information regarding world health? How is it popping into your feed? Why would anyone want to listen to that? So, especially can the people who watch these people's feeds with 185 million, do they know how to read? Can they count past 5? What happens when the number is bigger than the 2 hands they carry on their hands on their body to do numbers and to do the counting with, right? So I look at these things and I cringe due to the fact that a lot of people get information from somebody with 1.6K in their live stream. Someone said something, they had 1,600 people in their live stream. It must be true. Simon Cowell broke his back, they say. I was going poop this morning and it was on the Google News. It was almost the 3rd from the top of all Google News in the world. Simon Cowell just broke his back. So, riding a 2 horsepower motor, a moped. He was riding the world's introductory level moped, and he lost control of it. It actually was a beast for him. There was weak arms. He was shaking. He just started losing control, and he freaked out, and he rubber banded her, and that was the end of it. But Simon Cowell, rip Simon Cowell. Now he's broken back. Have a little fun here. I don't really know who he is. He's a pretty big dick on TV, so I figured, what the hell. I guess now with all this stuff, Simon Cowell has turned into the nicest guy ever, which is definitely cool. If that's what happens, right? Thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna start cooking. This was introductory cooking lesson number 1. Don't believe everything or anything you see on the news. Rather, there's no point. The same news story is told in Winnipeg, Manitoba, is told in Florida, is told in California, is told in the United Kingdom. If you're in the first world country, we're in the first world of what's called SISOP operations. I gotta see how you spell how you say this word, but I'll just quickly dabble in this for a quick second. Does anybody know what SISOPs is? You're not really gonna know. I'm going to type in SISOP operations, Navy, and see what pops up. Psychological operations, otherwise known as PSYOPs. Psychological can include military operations other than warfare and also include joint operations. So they include counterterrorism operations, peace. Psychological operations are operations to convey selected information and indicators to audiences to influence their emotions, motives, and objective reasoning. Objective reasoning we'll talk about in the coming days. It's crazy. Remember I told you everything is psychological, and these people, they own you. At a poker table, you would lose they would say, you're gonna go broke in 30 minutes. You can give me your chips now and save yourself the time. Because you're a book. You're a little 4-page, 2 words per page book. Very, very simple. It says here, influence there, and this is because of time. Now I'll ask you, what did you do last week? I guarantee you're doing the same thing you did last week, and the week before, and the year before, and the year before that. They have, right here, I'll go back one. Indicators to audiences and influence their emotions, their motives. So they influence your motives. How? Well, through these online streaming platforms. They can have you binge watching for 16 days straight. If the new sequel to the new superhero movie comes out and then they adapt a TV series to it, and then the next Prime throws out something else, and then Netflix throws on, it takes 2 days of them uploading stuff. They can have you hooked for a month. If all these platforms upload some new content to what you've been watching over the years already. So it says, selected information and indicators to audiences to influence their emotions, their motives, and objective reasoning, and ultimately their behavior. The behavior of governments, organizations, groups, and individuals. So the government, who puts the laws in place, organizations, who are the corporations who govern the government, and then the groups, who are, well, this is a group. This here, what I'm reading, there are different groups. I'll read back at the beginning. Psychological operations are operations to convey, oh no, it was over on this one. SISOP can include military operations other than warfare, and also include joint operations. So what it means is joint operations, that is actually, over here it says psychological operations are operations to convey selected information. So joint operations would be all 5 continents, right? All, I don't know, is there 6 continents with Antarctica? It doesn't matter. 5 continents, or whatever there is, all the continents have joint operations with the media to control what is said out loud to mainstream, okay? But you all have to do your own research. Identification symbol of the army is a knight. The chess piece is a knight. So there's some clues there to go back to ancient times. There were knights who burned books back in the day. They didn't want to share information. Here, and they also take it and hide it. Knights who burned all books. Let's see what pops up. List of destroyed libraries. Wow. No. This is not what used to come up. Okay, let me see. They've scrubbed the internet again. Let's see. Knights who hide history, truth, and burn all books on science. Templar, Knights of the Templar. So it slipped my mind. The hidden history of the Knights of the Templar, and this is like, you can find these symbols and these Knights symbols and the Templar symbols all over everything we do. I'll give you, and this is before I header, I'm going to talk about why secret societies are so damning. They're horrible. But I'm going to, secret, I think it was JFK. JFK said, secret societies are evil and should be banned. Something like that. JFK said societies are... Listen to the speech. Ooh, I wonder if I can do that. No, if it appeared on TV, I think I have something on there that says if it appeared on TV. The Constitution imposes upon the obligation to form time to time, give to the Congress information of the state of the Union. While this has traditionally been interpreted as an annual affair, this tradition has been broken in extraordinary times. These are extraordinary times, and we face extraordinary challenge. Our strength, as well as our convictions, have imposed upon this nation the role of the leader in freedom's cause. No role in history could be more difficult or more important. We stand for freedom. I'm going to skim this here. We are not against any man or any nation or any system, except as it is hostile to freedom. Nor am I here to present a new military doctrine bearing any name or aimed at any one area. I am here to promote the freedom doctrine. The great battleground for the defense and expansion of freedom today is the whole southern half of the globe. Asia, Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East, the lands of the rising peoples. Their revelation is the greatest in human history. They seek an end to injustice, tyranny, and exploitation. More than an end, they seek a beginning. And there is a revelation. And theirs is a revelation which we would support, regardless of the Cold War and regardless of which political economic route they should choose to freedom. For the adversaries of freedom did not create the revolution, nor did they create the condition which compel it, but they are seeking to ride the crest of its wave, to capture it for themselves. Yet their aggression is more often concealed than open. They have fired no missiles, and their troops are seldom seen. They send arms, agitators, aid, technicians, and propaganda to every troubled area. So I want to pause here for a second, and I'm just going to go back, because what I said correlates to the T. Every drop of what I just said happened 60 years ago. The joint operations. He's saying quietly that there are people out there that don't fire missiles. You'll never see these people coming, okay? This breaks my heart that there are groups out there that are so evil and dead set on, they know what they do every single day of their life is evil and taking our freedoms. They are the unjust that exist. And these are the secret societies he spoke of. They steal from us every day. They backdoor deal in every corporation around the world to ensure that charities give it to their kids and then bump it back to them for political, running. If I have a daughter and I get my daughter a job at a charity and she makes $300,000 a year and she's 17, she can backdoor funnel some of her paycheck to my conservative party. So what I do is I get her the job, and she goes to work, she gets her paycheck, and then she sends me a donation of $12,000 for my political party. This just happened in Canada. The finance minister of Canada is in a world of trouble here. But these people have been doing this since the beginning of government, period. Now I'm just going to continue on for, this is like the last 3 sentences here, and I want you to pay attention. I'm going to read back. They have fired no missiles, and their troops are seldom seen. They send arms, that's ammunition and weapons. Agitators, those are people who go into these protests, not involved, don't even know what the protest is about, but they go and they loot and they ransack and they vandalize, and then they make these protesters look like bad people. And they're touting signs of any nature, whether it be LGBT or Black Lives Matter or Save the Whales. They'll agitate these groups and make it look like there's somebody bad within, or they'll taint the picture, the overall story, to have it taken away from the message, to have it sent, well, we need to get cops, unmarked cops on these streets beating these people right away. They want fear. They want to induce fear to the public. You want me to read something to you? I'll do it over here. Listen. Psychological operations are operations to convey selected information and indicators to audiences to influence their emotions. They want you in fear. What's up, Cali7? How you doing, homie? Miss Thang, how you doing? Good to see you. Cali7, I don't know where you've been, homie. I hope all is well. Everything that I stand for is for freedoms, okay? I'm not going to be that guy that has a tiny little squirrel sack, okay? I have a voice and I'm making sure that it is utilized properly. I'm very well educated on my own terms. I have no deep connection to something that has formed my views. My views come from naturally living mine. Seeing, meeting hundreds and hundreds of people, listening, talking, not from reading the book that was made 2 years ago for all university students to read and memorize, for it to be absolutely obsolete in 2 years. People that spend too much time in school are the ones who think about it. If you're in school, do you know everything? Now, I don't claim to know everything. But I'll tell you right now, if I sat down next to the person in university that claimed to know a lot about, daily life and how to get by and how to do shit, they would fail 9 times out of 10. The goof sitting beside me, guy or girl, young or old, but you're in school. You went to school so you could learn something, because you can't learn it on your own. Now I'll tell you something. Wait, hang on. For all these people out there, you ever seen a kid that is a professional pianist, but they didn't go to the finest school in the world? Wait, let me finish. There are highly educated people that you can't figure out how they're so smart. Nobody has to go to school. It's what you spent the last 20 years of your life doing. Did you sit mindlessly somewhere and do nothing? Did you do karaoke for 25 years? Now you can't sit down at a table and have a real conversation. Think about it. This right here is the final pièce de résistance, okay? They have fired no missiles and their troops are seldom seen. They send arms, agitators, aid technicians. So their technicians are there to form or to smudge the numbers, right? They have the most trained analytic professional will go and look over the entire corporation's computer system to see if there's any wrongdoing. He gets a boat. He says, no, nothing going on here. Everything looks A-okay. Meanwhile, he was supposed to report to some country's government to see if they are, swaying the information that's out there, cheating the public out of natural knowledge. It's happening. And here's the other, aides and technicians. So they'll send, here's an example. You think the government is so helpful? I'm not saying all governments, but look what the government did for Haiti. It's been over 10 years, right? Billions of dollars were donated to the Haitian people. Do you know how good they're doing? They should be doing at least 50% better, minimum, by now. Go read up on how they're doing in Haiti. And that was all the people, all the good people crying, watching whatever the media put out. All these charities, it goes straight into their pockets. But where fighting is required, it is usually done by others. Oh, sorry, I missed. They have fired no missiles and their troops are seldom seen. They send arms, agitators, aid technicians, and propaganda to every troubled area. But where the fighting is required, it is usually done by others, by guerrillas striking at night, by assassins striking alone. Assassins who haven't taken the lives of 4,000 civil officers in the last 12 months in Vietnam alone, by subversive and saboteurs and insurrectionists, who in some cases control whole areas inside of independent nations. So the states are broken up into 55 districts. Okay, there is a new way to look at America. It's called corporate America. They don't even count most of the states that are out there anymore because of the fact that there's going to be a great flood, and the flood will destroy both coasts of America and run a line of water down the middle of from Manitoba all the way down. Um, the U.S. Navy has been putting out futures of water levels rising, and they are the ones. I have on my Instagram. You can't get on my Instagram if you're not already on there. You're not getting on there. I'm sorry, but on my Instagram, there's plenty of other people that have this information. You can Google U.S. Navy predictions of water levels rising and put in the word 2030 U.S. Navy water level predictions for North America, and you can see what we're in for. This is nothing new, though. Places like they freeze, they thaw. I guess when it freezes, it's got to fill up the bowl, right? They possess a powerful intercontinental striking force, large forces for conventional war, a well-trained underground in nearly every country, the power to constrict talent and manpower for any purpose, the capacity for quick decisions, a closed society without dissent or free information, and long experience in the techniques of violence and subversion. They make the most of their scientific successes, their economic progress, and their poise as a foe of colonialism and a friend of popular revolution. They prey on unstable or unpopular governments, unsealed or unknown boundaries, unfilled hopes, convulsive change, massive poverty, illiteracy, unrest, and frustration. So the illiteracy, they're like, again, I'll say this, they're very, very well informed on your education levels in America. They know they literally have a check mark. Does this person have rocks in their head? Yes or no? And you've been marked, right? There's a few ways to tell if someone is smart, and one of them is with the eyes. You can see who's all there just based on your eyes. I don't know how to describe it. I was about to, it was on the tip of my tongue, but it's a very hard thing to describe. But when your doctor checks you out, he's not just simply checking you out. You got a file on you that says if you're competent or not, if you're well spoken and well versed or not. Period. And if you don't think there is, you literally got rocks in your head. At this point, the following paragraph, which appears in the text as assigned and transmitted to the Senate and the House of Representatives, was omitted in the reading of the message. So that thing I read you at the end that says, like, holy shit, they're into everything, they're in every country, they wouldn't even let him say that. They wouldn't let the President of the United States finish his speech. They have speechwriters for presidents. That should scare you. You elected a president, they have speechwriters. It's not good. It's not good. Most of the world is in turmoil because of our inability to recognize the level of evil that is influential in our lives. With these formidable weapons, the adversaries of freedom plan to consolidate their territory, to exploit, to control, and finally to destroy the hopes of the world's newest nations. And they have ambition to do it before the end of this decade. It is a constant. It is a constant of will and purpose, as well as force and violence. A battle for the minds and souls, as well as lives and territory. And in that context, we cannot stand aside. We stand as we have always stood from our earliest beginnings for the independence and equality of all nations. This nation was born of revolution and raised in freedom, and we do not intend to leave an open road for despotism. There is no single simple policy which meets this challenge. Experience has taught us that no one nation has the power or the wisdom to solve all the problems of the world or manage its revolutionary tides. That extending our commitments does not always increase our security. That any initiative carries with it the risk of temporary defeat, that the nuclear weapons cannot prevent subversion, that no free people can be kept free without will and energy of their own, and that no two nations or situations are exactly alike. Yet there is much we can do and must do. The proposals I bring before you are numerous and varied. They arise from a host of special opportunities and dangers which have become increasingly clear in recent months. Taken together, I believe they cannot that they can mark another step forward in our effort as people. I'm here to ask the help of this Congress and the nation in approving these necessary measures. Somebody tried so hard, to free us. And nobody's hero, no 40-year-old's hero is JFK. You know, you're mine, buddy. Have a good one. Peace.